All right. You ready to rock?
Let's do it.
Let's go. 3, 2, 1.
Clap your hands, everybody, for Philadelphia.
What do you say we bring it on in for a special Philadelphia 76ers roundtable on a Friday night? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we can't thank you enough for sitting down with us. As the graphic says, pull up a chair and let's talk some Sixers hoops. We got a special guest with us tonight. Excited to get this gentleman involved with us on The Gambler, as our guy Sean Barnard has been preaching his name from the beginning. But first and foremost, I am Sean Brace. Daily Ticket, Monday through Friday, 3 to 6 p.m. Over to our right, immediate right, whatever you're looking on the screen. Philadelphia 76ers insider for us here on The Gambler and all things NBA insider, the great Sean Barnard. Sean Barnard, good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening. We're getting a little break from the NBA slate that we're not having this massive nightly card to break down. So good to take a little pause button, talk about the Sixers as a whole, zoom out, and take a look at what this team's really brought us so far.
That's what I'm talking about. All right, and then we got some people on the camera duty. Okay. That's all right. We're going to make that work. That's pretty cool what we got going on right now. We got the aerial view. Everybody's got their own cameras. All right. And as I said, this gentleman has been on the timeline all season long, podcast and sitting down with Paul Reed, all things 76ers all season on our timelines. The one and only Mr. RB. RB in the house. What's happening, RB?
What is good, man? Welcome in. Happy to be here with the double Sean combination, chopping it up, man. Everything Sixers, you know how we do it. And really appreciate you guys having me on, man.
That's what I'm talking about. Now, RB, we greatly appreciate you. Number one, we are streaming on your YouTube channel as well as The Gambler. So that's number one. Can't thank you enough for that. But as I said, no BS. Sean has been talking about you from the beginning and been trying to find that way that we can get, rolling together. And I figured, you know what, this would be the best spot for all of us with the pause. And wow, what a wild ride it's been, right? Yeah. Let's start there. One word to define the first half of the season as the Sixers are 32-22, 54 games into this first half. What's the word?
I'll go roller coaster as my word here. That there have been some highs of the high this year. We've seen the Joel Embiid 70-point game. We've seen Joel Embiid take this next leap. We've seen the growth of Tyrese Maxey, the effect that Nick Nurse can have on this team. But the lows have sure been there too. That there's been some moments where this team has felt pretty lifeless, where we've seen guys get overplayed. The Joel Embiid injury, obviously front and center for the future of the Sixers team. So for me, I'll lock in roller coaster as my word. For
RB, one word, man.
Well, Sean stole my word, so I'm going with Sixers.
Nice.
One word, Sixers. This is what they do, man.
Yeah.
This is what they do. They pull us in.
Yep.
They say, "Oh, this is a different year, and this team looks good. They can battle against anybody." And here we are halfway through All-Star break wondering, is Joel coming back? Is this team going to survive, man? Just give us some hope for once.
Yeah.
For once, man.
I'm somewhat similar. I would say mental. That's my word, mental. Yeah, it's the same old song and dance with us because as we were getting warmed up for this show and we got 90 solid minutes coming your way. We got a couple interviews. Hopefully we'll get some people involved from the stream. We got some great sounds. Of course, we're going to hit on the All-Star game. Tyrese Maxey deserves all the love in the world. But as we were getting ready, we, of course, went right to the Joel Embiid 70-point performance. And it was the great. That was the great of the season, right? And then all of a sudden, the basketball gods were like, yeah, we gave you a little bit too much. Let's keep you in check as far as the 76ers are concerned. All right. Love to get the people involved. Once again, this is RB's channel, so you guys know how it works from RB. But over here on The Gambler, we're wide open. And we will try to get to every comment possible. Sean Barnard, if the people can join us via stream, we'd like to have that as well, right? Okay. If we could pop them up and they got a camera and a microphone. It's all we care about, and a take. A camera, a microphone, and a take. The only three requirements, all right? Okay. You don't have to be a 76ers fan, but please, let's keep it to the Sixers conversation here. RB, I want to start with you on this one. As I said, Sixers, 32-22, currently holding the 5 seed in the East. DraftKings right now, Sixers on the minus 750 to make the playoffs, plus 550 on the no. For the people that have no idea what that means, essentially, the odds makers are saying that the 76ers will 100% be in the playoffs. 95%, I'll say. A little bit more than 1,000 would probably be in the 100% mark, but I'll go at 95% here. If the 76ers were not to make the playoffs, RB, how shocked would you be?
And we're talking about into the play-in, right?
I'm talking play-in. I'm
Into the
talking
play-in.
postseason play.
Yeah. Depending on the status of Joel Embiid, I honestly would not be that surprised.
Oh, man.
Wow.
Based on the way that they have played as of late, I know they've had a couple, performances that stick out and a couple new guys, rejuvenating some life into this team. But you look into the long term, they had a couple needs going into the deadline. And I feel that they did not address all of them. They addressed some of them. They got players that can help this team. But you look into the long term, and without your superstar, without your anchor, it's just going to be tough. Yeah, I think there'll be a play-in or, maybe a 5 or 6 seed, but they're battling right now to stay afloat, man. They're trying to tread water, and you have a tough schedule coming up, especially right out of the gate.
Yep.
Leading after the All-Star break. It's going to get tough, man, and it's really going to be a testament to who these guys are, the Tyrese Maxeys, the Tobias Harrises, and really Nick Nurse. Can he keep this team together, man? Can he glue them and keep them on the right track? So I would not be that surprised if they fell into the 7 seed.
I want to follow up with you. What did they miss at the trade deadline? And on top of that, now knowing what we know, 2 parts. What did they miss in your mind? What would you prefer them to attack? And then the second thing is with the totality of it, now knowing Kyle Lowry is here, of course, Buddy Hield and all the other pieces that were added in. What's your grade for Daryl Morey?
I think my grade is somewhere in the middle, maybe a C.
Okay.
They acquire Buddy Hield, who's been spectacular, averaging 20 plus per game in his first 4 games. They go and address the backup point position. They knew all along they were getting Kyle Lowry, but the couple needs that they had that obviously were not addressed. You need a big man. And, shout out to my guy, Paul, and shout out to Mo, but this team is going to need bodies. They need big bodies, guys who can rebound, even with Joel Embiid on the floor.
Yeah.
We know that rebounding has been an issue for this team. They didn't address that. I thought they needed to add some kind of defensive upgrade. Who knows where DeAnthony Melton is? Is he alive? Is he alive? I mean, he played 1 game. The next game, where is he?
He's missed the past 17 games.
17.
And
Rocco.
that is concerning with Melton specifically. Is at the start of the injury, the Sixers said publicly that if he needed to play, this is an injury that he could play through. We want to shut him down and take care of it. Well, 17 games and a month and a half later, and we have not seen this guy on the floor, which is concerning to me.
No, you're right about that.
Yeah, and in addition to that, I remember a quote from last week. They asked Nick Nurse about Robert Covington. He said, there's no light at the end of the tunnel with that. I mean, What does that mean? This team needs some defensive playmakers. They need guys that can go out one-on-one, point of attack, and shut somebody down. Are you confident with anybody right now on this Sixers team in a playoff series sticking Jason Tatum in crunch time?
Oh, man. And
with who they have on the floor.
Over the years, nobody could stick him no matter what. So
Right.
What's the difference this year?
Right.
To his point, and then Sean, I'll tee you up, but Kyle Lowry's going to change that somewhat, right? Like I'm realistic, my expectation, but the one thing I do know about him, he's a bulldog.
Yeah.
He's a guy. Like I asked Sean this the other day, RB, I'll ask you real quick, that Miami game, do they win that game if Lowry plays?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think so too,
Absolutely.
right?
And even if a guy like Patrick Beverly was still in this team, I felt like they needed someone to come in and deliver the punch. And not that I'm, so worried about Patrick Beverly. A lot of people got hung up on that.
Mhm.
It was more so just like you need guys like that in the locker room that can just
Agreed.
come in and make a stop or just get everybody fired up. So I feel like that's one of the reasons people were frustrated with that move.
Sean, your thoughts on Morey trade deadline? Where are you at as far as the grade is concerned?
Yeah, I'm higher than RB on it. That I'll go B+ for it. That at the end of the day, the Sixers did walk away with the best player that was traded at the trade deadline, that being Buddy Hield. And Buddy Hield has exceeded expectations in a major way so far. What has jumped out to me the most is his ability as a playmaker. The 10 assists, having more than 6 assists in every game he's played so far. I get it's only 4 games, that he will come down to earth a little. He's not going to shoot 45% from 3 for an entire season, but I'm really optimistic about what he brings his team and how he changes this offense, allowing Tyrese Maxey to play off ball, just having a floor spacer that strikes fear into opponents. That changes the entire look of this offense, and I cannot wait to see the 2-man game between Buddy Hield and Joel Embiid. So I'm pretty excited about that. I agree it was a miss not going for the big man, but at this point in time, I think you got to roll with Mo Bamba and Paul Reed. That we've seen Paul Reed play some of his best basketball all year in recent games. You got to ride the hot hand and believe that this is why you paid the guy. This is why he is asked to take that next step. Got to give him the opportunity to do so. And I would rather that than attacking a big on the buyout market. with the hopes that he has some life left in his legs at this point.
I'm just wondering if Kevin Durant could have played the 5 if they would have landed on him. Would that have hurt my kid? All right. Once again, comments flying in. This is incredible. Shout out to everybody tuning in here on a Friday. We're going to get to some of the good. I promise you on that one. Speaking of, let's just get right to it. And through 54 games, RB, back over to you. I want one good thing from you. It could be anything. It could be JoJo, his performance. Of course, he was MVP before he got hurt. It could be A to Z. I want one thing that is good for you throughout the course of this first 54 games of the season.
Yeah, I think really the thing that sticks out, what we should take away positive-wise from this Sixers season, they finally got Embiid to play the way they need him to play. Like, obviously, I'm not trying to make comparisons here. There's a lot of great players in the league. But what did Nikola Jokic do last year? He literally was the best version of himself, all-around player, a guy that could do everything on the floor. And Nick Nurse came in and he implemented a system that allowed Joel Embiid to play that way. That's what the Sixers need long-term in terms of a play style for this team to be successful. Now, unfortunately, kind of got ran into the ground. He's injured again. But when it comes to facilitating, the guy's averaging almost 6 assists per game. You know, he's pulling in 12 rebounds almost per game, averaging 35 points. Nick Nurse unlocked the best version of Joel Embiid. And if he can ever stay healthy, this is how the team wins a championship moving forward. So I think it's just the way they've played. And obviously that comes with adding complementary pieces, you know, like Kelly Oubre, like Nico Batum. But overall, it starts with Joel. He knew after that game 6 and 7, he had to look in the mirror. And that's exactly what he did. And he achieved what I would call greatness in the games that he's played this year.
8 seasons. Do we think he had this level? Did we think that he had another, like another step in his game? Did you think that he could reach this year? Or did you think like what we saw last year might have been the ceiling?
I think we think that every year.
Yeah,
we say, how does he get to this level? I think when he was drafted, there were a lot of risks, a lot of liability. Can this guy even stay healthy? He missed 2 seasons. Nobody ever expected him to get to the MVP level. Then he got there. Then he got even greater.
Yeah.
Then he got even greater. What we saw this year, and it sucks that he got hurt, was one of the greatest seasons I've ever seen in NBA history. I mean, that was unbelievable.
No lies. No lies. Sean Barnard, did you think Joel Embiid could raise his game up to another level this year?
I did not. I thought there was no chance that last year wasn't the peak of Joel Embiid. And that is not an insult saying that. This is saying I thought that guy had maxed out his abilities, gotten to the peak of him as a player, and he absolutely proved me wrong. That we are talking, and it is unfortunate that most of this will be forgotten in the history books because of the injury and because of the lack of games, but we truly are talking about a historic season. The most points per minute in NBA history this year from Joel Embiid, averaging more points, rebounds, assists, blocks, and steals in fewer minutes per game than last season after winning MVP of the league. It's ridiculous stuff that he was doing. And I do think a lot of it is system-based, that a lot of this is a credit to Nick Nurse for maximizing the way that he can play, having movement off ball, allowing just more fluidity in the offense, not as much Joel Embiid at the elbow and everybody stand around and watch. That's been the way to maximize Joel, and I do think that's the way to maximize the team. That I think that is the secret ingredient come playoff time to having success, and we'll see if we can get a chance to see that on that stage this year.
Yeah, the big question, of course, from the first half is the health of Joel Embiid and what we're going to get in that second half. There's no, moving around it. It's just where we're at. We will get into that, I promise you, a little bit later. I wanted to keep things a little positive. It's here on a Friday night. We got Devon Givens from PHLY Sports. He's going to be joining us coming up here at 7:30. Get your questions in. Once again, a couple people checking in. RB, what'd you grade it again? C?
I'm going with a C.
Yeah, I don't think we can argue with that, right? I think that's just the reality of the situation right now with, of course, winning cures all. Haven't really happened. We need to give these guys some time to get acclimated. Nick Nurse, so on and so forth with his new pieces. And then, oh, by the way, Lowry hasn't even played yet.
Right. Who is Nick Nurse's guy, by the way.
Yeah, he's a bulldog.
That should be noted. And as much as I've been a pretty anti-Kyle Lowry guy from the stance that I still would probably go to bat and say I'll take Pat Bev over Lowry in a playoff setting in a series where you need 8 to 12 minutes out of a guy. But this is still the same Kyle Lowry that last year played 26 minutes per game on that Heat team in the playoff run, averaged 9.2 points, 4.4 assists, 3.5 rebounds. That's all you're asking out of him is if he can play those solid minutes, give you enough stuff when Tyrese Maxey's off the floor. That's all they're looking for.
All right, Sean Barnard, to you, one good thing from the first half.
I'm going a little bit of a wider view here. I'm saying hitting on the young guns, that I am starting to believe there is this pathway being paved in the Sixers organization that has fallen short for many years. Look at Ricky Council IV. look at Terquavion Smith. And I know it's not 100%. The Jaden Springer management, I'm a little bit upset about still, just giving him away for a second-round pick. But you can't convince me that that wasn't at least partially motivated by watching this version of Ricky Council IV compete in practice every day. That it felt like this organization has been starved for young talent, and they've gone to bat for these veterans. And don't get me wrong, there's still an older team that's currently constructed, but I'm beginning to see this pipeline established of guys getting taken as an undrafted free agent and then getting a two-way contract and then growing into a real role in this team. I'm confident enough to say that I think Terquavion Smith and Ricky Council IV will each be significant long-term, at least rotational players for this team. And that's a major win from the undrafted market.
I like it. Great call all the way across the board by both of you. We do have the celebrity game, quotes, air quotes, if you're listening to us. Don't know who half of them are, but, shout out to showing some love to some streamers, RB. That's a good thing, right?
Yeah, let's go.
All right.
Let's
New
go, man.
media, as they say. We like
Okay.
that. I have no idea who the kid is.
Kai Cenat,
Kai Cenat, yeah.
You don't know who Kai Cenat is?
Come on,
Big
bro.
Twitch.
Wow,
streamer.
really?
Okay,
Big
Twitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I know Speed. Do I get credit for that?
Okay, I'll give you that.
Like, I
I'll
know
give you
that guy. That guy's a maniac. And apparently he's pretty damn fast.
Oh, yeah.
He is.
All right. Is he an athlete?
No,
Oh,
he,
I
He's
will-
just
thinks
one of
he is.
those
He
freaks.
thinks he is. Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
All
I
right.
will shout out Kai Cenat too. By the way, trains with Chris Brinkley. So who's a big time NBA trainer, does a lot with them. So who knows? We'll see what he's got in his game on the court.
All right. Keep the comments coming in. Loving it. Kai Cenat is how you say it?
Yeah.
Yep.
Somebody said Kai Cenat is bigger than Speed. Did not know that. Phoenix plays. I'm learning here. All right. Can I get some love on that? All right. My good thing from the first half. It's easy. Hit me.
Philadelphia 76ers select Tyrese Maxey.
It won't be regret.
6 a.m., 10 a.m., and noon. Saw him at noon. It was his third workout. This is a guy who now gets his first All-Star, so hard work gets it done.
See Tyrese Maxey balling? You see him balling? It's something special.
Shakes it, three-pointer flies. Got it. Tyrese Maxey. Maxey from the logo.
Making the acrobatic look effortless. The first 50 spots in the career of Tyrese Maxey.
And thank you to the Philadelphia 76ers for that video/audio. It was tremendous. And it gives you goosebumps. And it's just so real because he was drafted by us. We've seen this kid rise up, of course, deal with the Doc Rivers nonsense. And then not to say that there were people that didn't believe in him, but to the point that, look, I work with a guy every day and him and I were arguing all offseason long about ball handling and can he raise his game up? I believed in it. I'll tell you straight up, I didn't have him as high as Sean Barnard did with the All-Star pick. Nice work by you cashing in on that. It's just been so good. And again, it comes back from the diehard fandom and all of us, the fact that he is ours. He was drafted by us and there was no nonsense. We've held on to him with all the trade deals and possible rumors out there. And to see him grow right before our very eyes this season and have an all-star game nod and not one of those injured, you're replacing. No, he earned it. He earned it. And I can't say enough. I'm so proud of what we've been able to watch with Tyrese Maxey. And look, I thought that he very well could be the Robin to Batman, be that 1B once Joel Embiid was healthy and roll into the playoffs. There were people out there that had that concern because the playoff game changes, right? Things get a little bit more tighter, all that. But bottom line is I have no concerns whatsoever. Even in that Miami game, the ball movement, him getting the ball at the top, driving, he's becoming that dude that can take on the contact, go in, and he's got that, the English off the ball. Like this guy is the real damn deal. What's his number to win MVP this weekend? I don't think he'll get those minutes or the reps as far as the volume is concerned. But look, fill in the blanks, RB. Everything from Tyrese Maxey, first half. Anything I didn't say that you want to add, please go right ahead.
I would love to add something, and I want everybody to just think about this. When Tyrese Maxey comes to mind, at least for me personally, I'm like, yeah, he must be 27 years old. Like, we need to start realizing that he has gone through the curve way quicker than other guys. There are nights we get frustrated. Oh, Tyrese is not really able to step up and give us the 30 that we need or whatever. This guy has gone through 2 drama-filled situations with superstars. He has been asked to be the 1A or 1B at certain points in his career. He's been asked to, drop 25, 30 points in a playoff series. he has been asked to do things that guys his age normally don't do.
Yep.
He's 23 years old, and he's been through playoff failures and, just heartbreak. Imagine what this guy could be in 5 years, right? You look at guys that are drafted at the top of the lottery, and usually they don't get to experience any of this stuff, but by the time they're 24, 25. So I just want people to keep in mind that what Tyrese Maxey continues to do, elevating his game year by year the way he is. And this year, obviously, the point blank thing is that he doesn't turn the ball over as much. Like, he's such a smart player. I can't even imagine where he's going to be in 5 years.
Love it. Sean Barnard?
Yeah, absolutely. And to throw a couple stats out here, shout out to Carisha Naruso, who is the creator of that LeBron metric, but she tweeted these out. The top 5 players in rim shot making this year. Number 1, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Number 2, Zion Williamson. Number 3, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Number 4, Tyrese Maxey. And what's the difference between him and all those other guys is they're all way closer to the rim than Tyrese Maxey.
Yep.
And one even better here, Tyrese Maxey is the only player in the NBA with finishing talent above the 95th percentile, catch and shoot three-point making above the 95th percentile, and averaging 5 assists per 75 possessions. Very specific stat, no doubt about it, but that does speak to the completeness of his game. That the growth as a playmaker this year solidified that he is capable of being that type of point guard to me, which I do think is a huge storyline for the long term of his career. And you hit the nail on the head, RB, that he's talked about like he's the seasoned vet or looked at like he has all these expectations. This guy is very early on in the career development of him. So easy to root for, works so hard, has gotten better year in and year out. And you just have to tip the cap for really just keeping this window of winning around Joel Embiid open.
Did he get a fair shake with Doc Rivers, and what is Nick Nurse doing differently with him?
He did not get a fair shake with Doc Rivers for sure. And by the way, like he was still this version of Tyrese Maxey. He didn't overnight get that much better. Don't forget, he basically won them a playoff game in one of those games when he did have the opportunity.
You're right.
And if it was not for the Ben Simmons holdout, we may never have seen this version of Tyrese Maxey under Doc Rivers, that he essentially got thrust in the starting lineup by default in that situation. It's purely the birth certificate, to be honest. That's what it is with Doc Rivers, that he's just not veteran enough for him to get the opportunity. But as far as how Nick Nurse is using him, I do think there's some more creativity where it's not as much the Doc Rivers offense of so much was Joel Embiid centric, which obviously he's your best player, but there was not the same off-ball motion, the pin downs, the cuts, the creation for others. And by the way, that's a huge reason why Joel Embiid's assists have grown this year. But for Maxey specifically, how fast he is, the motor that he has, he's a vital part of all this stuff. His movement off ball, I think, has been so much better this year, both from an opportunity standpoint and execution within him himself.
And I'll add on top of that, just by saying that, he would have never gotten the opportunity if it wasn't for the craziest situation in NBA history with Ben Simmons literally just folding like a broken tent. Tyrese Maxey would never be this guy. And I think what Nick Nurse did is he came in, and I remember the first press conference, he said, we want the ball in Maxey's hands. We don't want him to be scared to go out there and take 12, 15 shots in the first 2 quarters. And immediately came in and said, we're going to get the ball in Maxey's hands. We're going to run pick and rolls with Tyrese Maxey. We want him to be a focal part of the offense. I feel like that was never the case with Doc Rivers. He was always the next guy behind Joel Embiid, James Harden, or Ben
George
Simmons.
Hill.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He never gave him that belief because that's just how Doc Rivers is, and he doesn't like to experiment with young guys. But Maxey has had this from day one, and I mean, he just continues to prove it.
Shout out to Prince over here. He said that George Hill over me? LMAO. Yes.
Shout out Prince.
Hey, everyone, please, if you wouldn't mind, RB, everyone, please subscribe to the YouTube channel on Fox Sports The Gambler. We're going to be getting RB involved. I promise you on that. But Sean Barnard does a great job over there. We've been trying to grow it for the last year plus, and we're doing all right, but definitely not on RB's level, damn it.
Nah, these guys are top tier, man.
Keep grinding.
Continue to support them in every way.
My man, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, when it comes to Nick Nurse, right, like that's a positive for me in the first half. And we'll get into a little bit more about Nick Nurse, and I got some great sound from Buddy Hield and what he had to say about him. One of my favorite moments, though, from the first half, and it has everything to do with the growth of Tyrese Maxey, is when Pat Bev challenged him.
Yeah.
Right? When the first time Joel Embiid got hurt, it's like, yo, young man, they're saying you can't do this without Joel Embiid. We can't have that. And what did he do? He responded to that. So, and that's like, this kid's so young. He wants to learn. He wants to be a sponge. Well, just think about what he's going to get this weekend. Right? You think about the All-Star game, no doubt. LeBron James with his 20th, of course, it's going to be top of the charts. You think about the greats, Kobe, like the vets. The vets are in their own world, but it's the guys that make it for the first time. The sponge that he's going to be, everything he's going to absorb. It's going to be tremendous for his growth, man. And I hate to say the phrase "sky's the limit," but it really is, because you see the talent in this guy, right?
And you see the tangible ways that he's gotten better. Like the questions about Tyrese Maxey when he first came in the NBA was he's not a good enough shooter. Flash forward 2 seasons into his NBA career, and he's a top 5 shooter based on percentage in the NBA, and then got better the next year. Coming into this season, it's can he be a true point guard, or is he more of this microwave scorer type player? Well, he responded by being a true point guard, setting a career high in assists, and now he is kind of elevating to being asked to be the number 1 option. We're about to see him go through the growing pains and figure out if he can truly do this over this next stretch. I do think like it's a bit much to put on his shoulders at this point, but you know what? That's the only way that he is going to get better, is to challenge him, to give him the opportunity, and he might surprise us because he has every step of the way so far.
And this is the first time we've ever seen him get this opportunity. Like, keep in mind, with everything that he's done to grow his game, he's playing with a superstar, one of the best in the game, one of the best of the generation, in Joel Embiid. So now giving him the full reins, like, okay, here, Tyrese, go learn, go grow, adapt every single night. I mean, this kid, the sky's the limit. I can't imagine what he's going to be down the road.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's time for our first guest right here. Joining us live on the Gambler Hotline. It's our first Sixers Roundtable 2024. Hopefully we'll be back for a little playoffs. Hopefully. Representing the squad over at PHLY Sports. It's the great Devon Gibbons on the Gambler Hotline on a Friday night. Devon, can't thank you enough. Sean Brace, Sean Barnard, and RB in the house. Devon, how you been, my friend?
Well, pretty good. Thanks for having me, fellas. Glad to be a part of the roundtable here tonight. Should be good.
Absolutely, man. You know, we were just talking about some of the positives, and I'll tee you right up from the jump. He's a very optimistic guy. This guy, Devon always has a smile on his face. No doubt about that. Devon, one good thing from the first 54 games might have surprised you. You might have expected it. One good takeaway through 54 so far for the Sixers.
I'll go with the newly announced All-Star as of a couple of weeks ago, Tyrese Maxey. Not just the elevation, fellas, of the points, because we've all known that he could score. Once we saw him at Kentucky, and certainly once he got his feet underneath him in the NBA, we knew he could score the basketball. But it's been the development of his point guard duties and the skills that he has been able to display. No one is going to ask him to be James Harden or excuse, and make a mistake and think that he is James Harden. But for the steps that were needed to take in order for this team to succeed, having DeAnthony Melton, Tyrese Maxey, and later on Nicholas Batum and so many others in that starting lineup with them, of course, Joel Embiid, you needed him to also run the basketball team, not just be a scorer. And for him to have a career high in assists, it's always not very hard when you have Joel Embiid again running that 2-man pick and roll and being able to drop it off to the big fella and him rolling to the basket or hitting that mid-range jumper. But the development and seeing some of the things that he has done as a point guard in year number 4, and only for me, I believe, only to get better as that floor general to go along with the scoring. That's something that's been a big development for me for Tyrese Maxey, because I wasn't really sure if that was ever really going to come into fruition. But we've seen it, and I think we've seen it in a big way. And I think he'll continue to improve as a point guard while also still being able to play enough to score the basketball as well.
Yeah, and I definitely think the playmaking is a huge storyline for both his long-term trajectory as a player and the surrounding pieces for how to build out this perfect Sixers roster. So, Devon, I kind of wanted to get your thoughts on, as we look ahead, building this starting lineup. Buddy Hield has made about as great of an impression as you could possibly made through the first 4 games in a Sixers uniform. We also haven't seen DeAnthony Melton in 17. Who do you think kind of gets the nod for that starting role looking forward? And what do you think is the best option for both a with Joel Embiid team and a without Joel Embiid team?
You're teeing me right up, because we just talked about this sometime earlier in the week, because that was the question. If the way that he is playing and coming in, I was talking about this on the show and discussing how we were watching the game one night before we did our show, and someone had made the point that he's a great scorer. And it was like, a little pushback. He's a great shooter, not a great scorer. He's a good scorer, but he's a great shooter. But what we've seen over these first 4 games from Buddy Hield, with the way that he is able to balance the floor out, playmake, as we just talked about playmaking with Tyrese Maxey, and not be a super net negative on defense, I mean, the guy's playing 38 minutes in his, first 4 games. He had 44 minutes against the Miami Heat on Wednesday night. So at some point, you're gonna have your shots are gonna fall short, and your defensive effort is not always going to be there either. But that was a reputation of his. So coming in already and showing at least a little bit of defensive chops, where he's not just being outright beaten on that end of the floor, for me, because I've always liked Anthony Melton from his Memphis days, his college days, and certainly USC and Memphis in the pros. And now with the Sixers, I've always felt at his best, he's a 6-man. That's no knock. That's just simply his versatility of what he's able to do, where he's more valuable coming off the bench, in my opinion, where someone like Buddy Hield can be a 6-man. But if I'm choosing between the two, and now looking at Hield on the floor with Maxey, and eventually, fingers crossed, with Joel Embiid, and having the rest of the team, where Nicholas Batum is not really looking for his. He's always making sure that everybody else gets theirs. And then the Tobias Harris part, I think that I would lean Buddy Hield because of the ability to see your 5 best players on the floor to start the game, and that's where I lean.
Interesting. Oh, I like that. Devon Givens, right from the jump, my friend. All right, I want to get right to Nick Nurse. We haven't discussed him just yet. What's been the big difference for you, Devon? And albeit only 54 games this year, but we know Nick Nurse. We've seen him over the years. What has been something that you were spot on in your assessment before he was hired, and he's delivering right now through 54 games this year?
Well, Sean, one of the things I like is his calmness. Even before Doc Rivers got here, and we would see him with the Los Angeles Clippers, one of the things that was something that was attached to the Los Angeles Clippers as a team and coach was how much they complained about things on the sideline, always fishing for calls and always on the officials for not getting the calls that they felt they were worthy of. And everyone wants the calls if they feel like they're being fouled. And certainly if they feel like they're not getting the necessary amount of call versus the opponent. But Doc Rivers did the same thing here. And it would kind of wear on you a bit, but the calmness of Nick Nurse and trusting some of his young guys, trusting the rest of his guys, putting some of these little weird lineups out there on the floor. I like that. The fact that he would go deep into the bench a little bit. And I was a big Marcus Morris guy for when he got here. He became a little bit of a bit, but he made me look good sometimes by scoring the basketball the way he did. But I like the fact that he's not afraid to try different things. Where we saw with Doc Rivers, like you said, Sean, we know who Nick Nurse is. We also knew Doc Rivers was. Doc Rivers didn't like to play young players. Doc Rivers liked who he liked. He would go to his veterans and his veterans only. And that was a problem sometimes. He would always talk about how he felt Jaden Springer had the ability to be a top defender in the NBA. Certainly the offensive side will keep him off the floor, but maybe we should have saw a little bit more of Jaden Springer on the floor, even 5-7 minute stretches where his defense was impactful enough. And now seeing where, yes, he's been thrust to force Ricky Council onto the floor. And even Jaden Springer at the time when he was here, now KJ Martin getting a little bit of a run. I've liked that about Nick Nurse and unleashing Tyrese Maxey as well. A little bit of the offensive stuff that they do. I like what he has done so far. Every now and again, like any coach, you look at things and you say that wasn't so great. But for the most part, I think he's been a plus.
No, absolutely. And I think he's done the most that he can with what he has at his disposal. I mean, it's not tough having a guy like Joel, go down like this and, you're kind of just scratching at all surfaces. What do I do here? How do I go about this? And, even some nights with the trade deadline recently, they've had 8-9 guys dressing it. It's been tough. What do you
think? Hey, man, he had a fun lineup on the floor the other night with Turk Smith, Cam Payne, Tyrese Maxey, Buddy Hield, and I believe it was Mo Bamba or Paul Reed. That was fun.
Yeah. No,
whatever little stretch it was on the floor, it was like, oh, let's get nuts here, and he did.
Yeah, and he's throwing out
he's
throwing out lineups with 5 guards or 3 guards, 2 forwards. It's insane, man. And just like picking his brain is interesting. Like this is a championship head coach, and
you sat down with him.
Yeah. And I mean, what really struck me was just how smart of a guy he is. Like everywhere this guy has went, he wins.
Yeah,
he wins. So I trust in him. But moving forward, like looking into the next part of the season, given what the Sixers have right now and their limitations, what are you looking for in terms of maybe one area or one player that you want to see step up and kind of take the reins here, especially without Joel Embiid for, I'd say, the foreseeable future?
Man, this is one that Sean knows this, and I've been like this with Ben Simmons when he was here. And my thing was always aggressive Ben Simmons is the best Ben Simmons. And this year, I have now moved that over to Tobias Harris because forget about the money. We're in year 5. The money has been there all 5 years. That's not going to change. It's coming off the books at the end of the year. It's still the same frustrations where he is very, very good for 2 weeks. And then he kind of slides back there for the next 2 weeks. Then he's good again for 2.5 weeks, and then he slides back once again. And right now he's in that slide of the negative side. Sure, he was dealing with the illness, so he was out for a while. And that illness was really bad to knock him back the way that it did. But now knowing that, okay, we got the All-Star break, he's had some time off, hopefully he's healthy, he's feeling better. Maxey is back. While dealing with the ankle, he is still back. You hope that you're able to get Anthony Melton, Nick Batum, and certainly here, they need Tobias Harris to be that 18 to 20 point per game scorer that we have seen throughout the entire time that he has been here. Not that it was always the average. It was the fact that it was in him to be that 18 to 20 point per game scorer. When he had that stretch, guys, where he had 33 to one game, and they were giving him the ball. They were getting out of the way. While Embiid and Maxey still had their 20s, they were giving him the ball because he was rolling. He was in a good space, and he was feeling good. And that's what I want to see, because he went from 33 to then he dropped 27 and 25 and 23, and he was in that 20s for that 2 weeks. And you could see that he was telling guys to get away. I got this. And taking the reins and being aggressive with the basketball. So for me, going for the second half of the season, we've already, 54 games in the books here?
Yep.
For the final stretch here of these 28 games, Tobias Harris needs to be that Tobias Harris in order for this team to hover in that top 6 before hopefully Embiid comes back.
Yeah, spot on. The comments are flying in, and Germ's checking in. Our good friend Germ. Toby is selfless to a fault. He can't get his, and also find out what the new parts can do. It's just necessity. Like, it's now, especially Joe's down. You know, Tyrese, we can't expect him to go out there and give us 51 every night. Tobias, you got to be that guy, but it's what we know about him. And
Sean, when they're throwing those weird defenses now, those blitzes, they're trying to get the ball out of Tyrese Maxey's hand as soon as he crosses half court, and they put him in a really tough spot because he's normally on the side of the court, along the sideline, and he's right there up against the sideline and the half court line, plus 2 defenders, and they're blitzing him, trying to get the ball out of his hands because that's who they fear. Now, maybe it'll change again, Sean, because now Buddy Hield is here, and Tobias Harris might get a different type of look where that selflessness that Germ is talking about has to stop, where he has to just go get his because it is going to be for the betterment of the team.
All right. I got a big picture question for you, and I got one little small here, and I'm not saying it because he's 6 foot, but the dude is a bulldog, and we just got him. I was kind of surprised he didn't play against the Miami Heat. I thought, you didn't have anything. You didn't have nothing to do for the past month. Come on, get out there. We need you, Kyle.
Period.
The ramp up period. Exactly. Expectations for Kyle Lowry. I'm not saying that, he's going to hit the turn back the clock and have a secret potion here, and we're going to get to Kyle Lowry from 5 years ago. But will there be anything different in his game with the 76ers, playing with Nick Nurse again, Devon, in your mind, than what we have seen with the Miami Heat? Because he did fall off a little bit with the Heat this year and essentially last year, correct?
Yes. Yeah, so to expect All-Star and NBA champion, well, All-Star, because that's unfair. He still win the championship as part of the team and do some things. So to expect All-Star Kyle Lowry would be unfair because that's not who he is any longer. Now, what he still possessed at that time while being an All-Star is leadership, and you can trust him out there on the floor. And for the leadership and to be able to trust him out there on the floor to make good decisions, I think it's going to be key. And let's not forget about the experience as we talk about him being an NBA champion. While these guys have been to many second-round appearances, they haven't been beyond that. And for him to come in to be able to be that steady hand, both offensively, defensively, not the same defensively as he used to be, but he still knows team defense and he still knows those angles. So for me, again, it's the fact that you can trust him, that leadership and that experience, I think will go a long way. And as you mentioned, being with Nick Nurse for as many years as he was, winning that championship with him in Toronto, it'll be very valuable for this basketball team because we're not asking them to go out there and play 35 minutes. Probably play about 10, 15 minutes, sometimes maybe more, sometimes less. But again, his voice can carry a lot for what young players like Maxey, even Heald and others, Campaign probably, and even Melton and Paul Reed, others, where we saw it was valuable with Patrick Beverly and Marcus Morris. That stuff can still be there with Kyle Lowry.
That's right. 6-time All-Star since it is the weekend. That voice does carry some weight. So I'm really looking forward to getting him involved, getting him on the out in the practice facility, number one, and of course on the bench and helping out on the court for the upcoming second half. All right, final question, Devon. Can't thank you enough for popping up, joining us here on the round table. Right now, currently, Sixers holding steady in the 5 seed. We got 28 games left. What seed will the 76ers be holding when playoff time comes around, which I think is April the 20th? What seed will the Sixers hold at that point in time, in your opinion?
Yeah, this one is tough. In order for it to be with 28 games, you're looking at somewhere like 14-14 or at worst 12-16 to still be able to hover around that 6 seed. So I'm going to be optimistic, like you said at the top, Sean. I'm going to go and look at Maxey. Feel like the All-Star break, the coaching staff, now that they have all the pieces that will be a part of their rotation and they can figure things out, maybe they'll go out and get another buyout candidate. Who knows? But I'm going to look at this and think the All-Star break came at the right time for them to also look at the things that they need to adjust as a coaching staff to find ways for Maxey to score easier. Same thing with Buddy Hield and others, Harris included, and get the best out of Paul Reed as a starting 5 here to make things a little bit easier on him as well. And I'm going to stick with the 6 seed because I trust in Nick Nurse to make those changes with that coaching staff that they're going to need desperately to make sure that they hover and stay in that top 6.
So that means
they're going to have some tough games, man.
Yeah, especially right out the chute. So that just means Sixers, Celtics, Eastern Conference Finals, right? If they get the 6 seed, which actually works out well for us, right?
Yeah, can't be afraid of nobody. There, you got to beat everyone here. We've done the seed watching.
we couldn't stop Boston last year when we were ready to go with everybody. I'm worried about this year. Yeah, but a long way until we get there. Hey, Devon, obviously can't thank you enough for popping up here on a Friday night. _ Devon Givens from PHLY Sports. Be sure to follow him on all things socials. Devon, what's your schedule over there? I know you guys are active all day, post-game, pre-game, you name it. Is there a certain days that we can definitely find you, whether it's post-game or pre-game?
Yes, so it's very easy. Non-game days, you can catch us at 2:30 live on YouTube at PHLY Sports. So that's 2:30 non-game days. And on game days, we actually only do post-game, which is pretty cool, where you don't have to do the pre-game. You just do post-game. So about 20, 25 minutes after the game, you can catch us right there in that same spot, PHLY Sports on YouTube. Hope to catch everybody there.
It's a great post game. I was tuned in after the Miami Heat debacle, and you had Kyle from the arena, of course. You and Barnard together. You were, I believe, both you guys were already at the studio to come or at the arena to come back, and you guys are front and center, man. Keep crushing it. And hey, man,
thank you.
Let's hope for some positive Sixers play out the shoot. Let's keep this going. It's been a great season. Let's get the big man healthy, and we'll catch up down the road, my friend.
No worries, man. They got my man Ricky Council the Fourth.
Ricky!
Go get him. Go get him, Rick.
Go, Rick. Get him, Rick. You're the man, Devon. Enjoy your Friday night, man.
Thank you. You too.
There he is, my guy, Devon Givens, once again on the Gambler Hotline. Fantastic to have him on there. RB, anything you want to add from Devon, what he just said there?
I'm right there with him. I'm thinking 6 seed. If I had to give a prediction, I think this team ultimately needs to get Joel Embiid healthy. I think that'll be the full telltale, but they have to find ways to, maneuver each game every night. Like, they're going to really test themselves here. Nick Nurse is going to have maybe his hardest test yet in the NBA. And so far what I've seen is him willing to experiment. And that's all I can ask for. This team's got to win games and they have to stay afloat. That's all you could say. Like you said, man, like prior year, we wanted them to have the easiest route.
True.
We wanted them to have the 2 or 3 seed. I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
Get us to the conference finals, man. I've had enough.
Yeah.
Get us there.
Get us to the dance first, and then we'll go from there. A couple comments. Want to get everybody involved. A lot of people tuned in, RB. Good grief. Let's keep it moving. Phoenix plays. Nick Nurse is the new SPO. Thumbs up, thumbs down on that
I'll
statement.
give a thumbs up on that.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm with that.
That's a statement.
That is.
Now,
Spo is still Spo, so by the way, but
What makes Spo?
he does a lot with a little, which I think is a similar trait to what we're talking about. Nick Nurse, I mean, Spo has the championship pedigree a little more. He's done it in way different situations. Like there's a totally different coaching skill set when you have LeBron James and Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade on a team versus when Jimmy Butler and the current squad that he's still getting the most out of. So I guess just more proven track record by Spo, but I'm not counting Nick Nurse out.
But I would say Nurse does a lot with a lot. Like look at his first year, you know, and I agree with you, but you know, he had Kawhi Leonard. What's he do? He wins a championship coming off uncertainty. This year he had Joel Embiid.
Oh, by the way, Kawhi only played 51 games in that year.
Yes.
It's crazy.
And they won a championship. He came back the next year, ended up winning Coach of the Year. Like now he has Joel Embiid, and before the injury, they looked like one of the best teams in basketball. So I'm in full trust of Nick Nurse.
Don Boyle checking in. Yeah, Lowry is here to be an experienced veteran, but also a leader, someone to help develop these young guys. Who's he taking underneath his wing right from the jump, RB?
Tyrese Maxey, no doubt. My question is, does he end up starting at some point? That's been a topic of discussion.
I don't want that.
I don't want that either. I think you're going to run him into the ground.
I like the idea of 10 minutes, 10, 12 minutes.
Yeah.
Hey, you get whatever you need them to do, right? Like if they're out of bodies and they need somebody, then okay, sure. Kyle Lowry starting. There's a lot worse players out there that could be starting for you. I get it, you know. My expectations are very low. I'm excited to see him in a Sixers uniform, though. I wish it was about 3 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, but here we are.
And we do have another guest here on stream ready to pop up.
Oh, let's go.
Yep, we got AB here of the Open Gym Network popping onto the stream here.
Let me punch him up right
there. We
here.
go.
Yes, I believe. Let me get rid of that banner right there, too.
AB, how we doing?
What's going on, y'all? How y'all doing?
There he is. AB, it's about time we linked up. How you
I know, right? It's been a while.
What's happening? Where can people find you again on socials? Where you at?
Absolutely. Obviously, Open Gym Network on YouTube, and then also on Instagram, only the #1 AB__. Again, YouTube on Open Gym Network and only one AB__. You already know me.
The other night, chopping it up with my good friend John Marks. Great
Yes,
list.
sir.
Some videos on the timeline. Nice work there. Hey, let's jump right into it. First half, roundtable right here this evening. Of course, you got RB, Sean Barnard, Sean Brace. Welcome to the party. And I guess the main one I've been asking everybody to start, give me something good from the first 54 games this year.
Something good. I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot. That's
something good.
It's a lot that's happened. But I mean, I was listening prior to getting on. Obviously, going forward, obviously the young guys. Obviously, Ricky Council. Obviously, showing that he's might have a place on this team and in this league in general, essentially being an undrafted guy coming out of college. You know, not many people really, looking at him or wanting to draft him rather like that. So that's definitely something that I was actually intrigued when I seen him, because obviously we all been looking for a wing guy, someone who can defend, someone who can slash, get to the rim, everything like that. So that seeing him actually flourish into that role, showing that he actually has some, game essentially, that he belongs in the league, that's definitely something that I look at. And I guess obviously just going into it, seeing Maxey progression, obviously as you see going into this year, has a little bit more of a bag, I would like them to get a little more, mid-range shots up right now, but it's a progression. So I would expect him to definitely move into that, but definitely him, showing his work that he had all off season, stepping into that, essentially the #2 role, essentially like that next to Joel Embiid. So those are two things that I, are shocked about the first couple games.
He gave us two.
Yeah.
Good. The Ricky Council stuff, I was busting Sean Stones the other day, RB. He put a tweet out, and look, I'm an old curmudgeon, yell at the sky, all that. And he's like, I've never seen anybody work out as hard as this guy is. And then I'm like, come on, Sean. And I watched the video. I'm like, damn, that dude is busting. I don't think I've ever seen anybody go that hard.
Sprinting in warm-ups.
He's amazing.
Full-blown sweat. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And Maxey said to him, you got to play tonight.
It's like, we might need 25 out of you tonight. Like, relax. But AB, I did want to toss to you a little bit. We were talking about the lineup combinations, and as they've added these new pieces, we've yet to see the team fully constructed. But between guys like Buddy Hield, obviously Kyle Lowry coming in, DeAnthony Melton, who we haven't seen in a while, Who do you view as kind of the ideal backcourt partner for a guy like Tyrese Maxey, who I think at this point we have a more complete just elaboration and an observation of his skill set at this point? We know what Tyrese Maxey is to a fuller extent. Who do you think pairing him with is the best route to success for the Sixers team?
I mean, it might sound cliche or like, a chalk answer, but I mean, obviously we love DeAnthony Melton and what he brings, but it has to be Buddy. It has to be his running mate out there next to him, because in this NBA, in today's NBA, I know defense matters, but we all know it's about scoring. You have to score the points. It doesn't matter if it's 110 or whatever. You have to score points. Yes, I love defense. Again, we can go back to like Pat Bev getting traded and Springer. I understand the hurt of Pat Bev leaving and things, but we all knew looking at this team, looking at the Sixers team, what we lacked in, and that was scoring. Not only obviously wing help, but scoring. If it wasn't Embiid that's giving us all the scoring, or even Tyrese Maxey, now where else was it coming from? And not only being able to score, but actually be able to create for yourself as well. Not having someone to actually have to set you up all the time. And we've seen that in a small sample size, but in a couple games that we've seen, Buddy Hield got the ball in his hand, going to the rim, left hand layups and mid-range shots where I didn't even know Buddy Hield could do. So that was a little bit of a shocker, essentially. But yeah, definitely Buddy Hield, because it's about scoring in the NBA.
AB, let me ask you this, because I know you came on here and you were ready to be the pessimist, and I tried not to be that way, but unfortunately that's how I'm feeling right now. I'm just kind of up in the air, hoping and praying Joel comes back. But
absolutely,
is there a missed opportunity from the past trade deadline? Is there something that you feel like this team could have hit on, or something you're looking forward to, maybe from some of the younger guys, like you talked about Ricky Council? But what does this team need to do while Joel is out to really kind of instill some hope and belief in you that, they could still do something when he comes back?
Well, to start with the second half of your question, just win. Essentially, I mean, it's that simple. I mean, try to stay afloat as much as you can. But just towards the trade deadline, I was more so on the side of just getting complimentary pieces from the get-go. I was never a guy who was saying go all in for like a Zach LaVine, go all in for a Donovan Mitchell, even a Pascal Siakam, even though I know those players could have made an impact, but I also understand the business of the NBA as well, as far as the flexibility, being able to get people in here who will be here for a couple years, grow and develop under this system. So for me, if I would have left let's say the trade deadline with like a Malcolm Brogdon and a Drummond, something like that, that would have been, or a Bogdanovich down in Atlanta, that would have been something good for me, essentially, because you get a wing, you get a shooter, you get a big, but then also they're here for the future as well. Buddy Hield is the prime example of the goal or the route I would take. He's here 9 times out of 10. Buddy Hield will be re-signed here. It wouldn't be for boatloads of money, but we damn sure got. We sure got. We just YouTubing, baby. I got you. So we dang sure got plenty of money at the end of the season, essentially, like that, to be able to re-sign him. So it's a smaller move just to complement what we already have, because I look at Joel as the one to buy. I mean, not Tobias. Tyrese Maxey as the number 2. So I definitely look at just the smaller moves just to be able to build and continue with this team, essentially.
I'll tell you what, we should get Micah Parsons and CJ Stroud. These boys can ball out.
You see him? I'm looking at it right now, too.
CJ Stroud was posting up some videos of him playing against Jaime Jaquez back in high school. And
he dropped 40 on him one night. Yeah.
It's like,
I do want to say that everybody else is about 5 foot in that video, but it was still 40 or 40 is what it is. I love the court too. This is pretty cool out there. It's the LED court. I think that they should probably have that next year for the play-in tournament versus what they had last year and all that nonsense. All right, AB, let me ask you this final one before we get out of here.
Yes, sir.
It's been a somewhat of a theme too as well throughout the course of this first hour. Right now, currently, 32-22, 5th seed. Where are we at after it's all said and done? Of course, game 1 of the playoffs. I think play-in game is April 20th. I have that in my mind. No, not because of 420. I promise you. I believe it is the first play-in game, first playoff game for the NBA postseason. So at that point in time, where will the Sixers be once the season comes to an end?
Well, you will hope within that range of between the 1 and the 6 seed, essentially. That'll be ideal, especially with the roster that we have now without Joel Embiid. But I'm gonna throw this at you as well. When it comes to the play-in, me personally, if you're sitting here telling me Joel Embiid is healthy. I'm talking about coming back, knee is fine, can't further injure himself. Obviously he had to, get some things going as far as probably get some games prior to the playoff starting just to knock the rust off. I'm not too worried about that because I look at it in two ways. One, not necessarily punting on the season or forgetting about this season, but I feel like what we've done right now sets us up for the future. But then also, if we want to go forward right now, like I said, if Joel Embiid comes back and he's healthy, he's ready to go, why not? And if you're sitting there at the 8th seed, the 9th seed in the play-in game, listen, we seen it before. I know people might say it's an anomaly that the Heat came from that road and went all the way to the championship. But essentially, I look at Joel Embiid, we talking about top 2 to me, but top 3 player in the NBA. And if you talk about a healthy Embiid, and again, all of it is predicated on health. He comes back, the knee is fine, is structurally fine. He can't hurt himself anymore. I'll take an 80% Joel Embiid at any moment in time because 80% of Joel Embiid is better than 99% of the NBA, essentially like that.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. And who knows? Hopefully the big man is resting and relaxing and everything is coming a little bit faster as far as the process, getting healthy and getting back out there. Did I say the process? Damn, I didn't even mean that.
Trust it.
You already know, trust the process.
Gotta trust it, man. Hey, trusting you for popping up on here. AB, once again, you can find him on Instagram, only one AB _. Tremendous content coming out left and right. AB, got to get you in this studio, got to get you rolling with the game.
Please do. Let me get me rolling. I'm ready. I'm ready.
Big second half for all of us, man. We're going to take it all by storm, man, and hopefully the 76ers are right with us and looking forward to a playoff run. I promise you that. AB, can't thank you enough for popping up on a Friday night, man. Always a pleasure.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I appreciate you guys. Yes, sir.
Excellent stuff. There he is. Once again, AB joining us via the there it is, via the stream. I like that. Gerald's going to join us in a little bit. Gerald Colton joins me most of the time, like once a week, but sometimes twice a week. Was out in Vegas. Diehard 76ers fan. Brings the historical perspective along with, hey, realistic as well.
Yeah.
But we'll get his take on everything from the first half. But RB, I want to come back to you, man, and this has been fun. This has been tremendous, and obviously, thank you for stopping in and allowing us to team up here because this is great. You got a great following here. A lot of people checking in. A lot of great conversation coming. And again, all it takes is a microphone and a camera. So if anybody wants to pop on off of Gerald, we'll be doing it a couple more minutes after that. But we talked a little bit about Nick Nurse and of course Daryl Morey. They're at the top of the list, but something that we haven't discussed, and I'm curious where you stand on this one. And it's kind of something that hit me a little bit from the Miami Heat game. And just wondering where you're at, because like I said, I could be a little old man yelling at a cloud. This team is struggling right now, right? And like, if you're not a fair weather fan, if you're a fan, isn't this the time to be there? I'm not saying be Mr. Rah-Rah and positive, but my timeline was empty in that Miami game. And that bothered me a little bit, and it's just like, obviously not us. We're dialed in. Not everybody here. We're dialed in. Devon, no. AB, we're focused. But it's clear that things have just went boo. Is it all based off of Joel Embiid? Again, Nick Nurse is new. Tyrese Maxey, all-star year. Buddy Hield just added. Kyle Lowry just added. Isn't there enough to at least get some positive vibes going? I get it. No Joel Embiid. It sucks. The guy was a monster. But right now, this team needs us. This fan base got to get going here, right?
Yeah. I mean, you have to find a way to. I mean, you're coming down the tail stretch of the season. You're going to be in the playoffs somehow, some way. You're going to hopefully have a shot if Joel Embiid comes back. And again, it all hinges on that. But yeah, I mean, Nurse has to find ways to be creative. This team has to find ways to get certain guys going, like a little spark from Ricky Council or maybe Terquavion Smith one night, or maybe some other guy comes off the bench and give you some valuable minutes. You have to find a way to get it going. I understand why people are frustrated because they feel like it's a never-ending continuum of, well, we get there and we're not healthy and we go down. And you don't know how many more opportunities that you have. But I think that's where, again, we're really going to see who this team is at their core. We've seen it before with different versions of the team. Now with Nick Nurse, who is this team deep down at their core? And when you lose Joel Embiid, well, we see how much of a burden it bears. And, here we are. You got to figure it out.
All right, like I'm learning with the celebrity game. We got it off to our side here. TJ Ass, is that his name? Who is that guy? Is he the farmer guy that shoots in the farm?
He does
lefty?
look like him. I
Is
don't
it
know who
him?
that is. I honestly, he's been probably the best player out there from what I've taken in from this game, but I got no clue who that
That's
is.
one of my favorite things when you have the Instagram or the streamers, and then people come up with those creative names. I love that.
Yeah.
Right. I forget the farmer kid. He had a great one, but he was building the rim. He built his own rack, his workout equipment, all that, man. What was it? It was something.
It was basketball.
It was something LeBron.
It was like corn something or something like
if
country something.
Yeah. If the comment section could help us out with that, please let us know on that one. All right. Let's do it. We're heading back out to the Gambler Hotline. It is Sixers Roundtable on a Friday night. This gentleman represents the squad over here, the Gambler Gang. He's been with us from day one. My good buddy, Gerald Colton, right now in the Gambler Hotline. Gerald, we got some new blood in the house. The great RB holding it down. Of course, all of his squad on YouTube. We got Sean Barnard, of course, our Sixers insider. And hello, Gerald. I'm Sean Brace. How we doing, sir?
I'm doing great. You guys sound fantastic.
Yeah, man. A lot of fun, Gerald. And you know what? Gerald is an optimistic Sixers fan. LeBron James, thank you. Let go of my ego. Nice work by you, sir. LeBron James. That's my favorite thing on Instagram. That dude was a freak out there, and he didn't miss either. Gerald, 54 games into this regular season right here, right now. A lot of ups and a lot of downs. That's a true Sixer first half, right? Like nobody's telling us something that we don't know. When it's great and Joel goes out there and scores 70, 2 games later, next thing you know, he's hurt, and here we are. But I'm looking for something good in your mind. Maybe it was something you thought would happen or caught you off guard so far through 54. One good thing from the first half of the season, Gerald Colton.
There are several, but before I start, I just want to say, I know I'm going to sound like the cynic, but it's just because I'm a lot older than you guys, and it's realism mixed in with everything. So
realism / curmudgeon. It works to die. I love you, Gerald.
It's really, but it's really not. I mean, it's just I've seen a lot more basketball than all you guys. Not to say I know more.
Yep.
I've just seen a lot more.
Gerald's got a lot of history with this organization as well.
I mean, I go back to the '67 championship.
Hello.
I mean, I've seen a lot of basketball, and so look, there's a lot of good things. But number one was that Joel Embiid could win MVP last year and come back and be even a lot better, like a lot better.
Yeah,
he was so good this year, and I know RJ said before, yeah, one of the great seasons in NBA history. I pumped the brakes on that a little bit because he played 34 games. And again,
he was on pace. He was on pace.
What he was doing was incredible. Okay, but I guess I just need to see more before I make proclamations like that.
Okay.
But by the same token, not just his 70-point game, which was outrageous. He had reached the level where, again, talking about all the basketball I've seen, he scores more easily than anybody who's ever set foot on the court. And he had taken that to where he knew where to catch a ball. He knew what to do with it. And it's great. And hopefully we get to see that come spring, because that's what matters. And the other thing is Maxey absolutely raised his game this year. There were a lot of questions coming in. What could he do without Harden? And he absolutely raised his game. I've been a little concerned with him lately because he looks either tired or hurt or the ankle or something. I don't think he played. He had a nice last game. In the Miami game, he went through a stretch before that, and I totaled it up because it was just pretty uncharacteristic of him, where he shot like 36 for 99 or something over the games after his 51-point game. So he wasn't quite hitting on all cylinders. I think I couldn't tell whether he was tired or hurt, or the fact is that he's a great number 2 and just not a number 1. And there's a big difference. We don't need him to be a number 1, because if he's a number 1, they're not winning. They need Joel Embiid to number 1. And the other part is Nick Nurse. Nick Nurse was a really refreshing change from Doc Rivers, and those 3 things have been really great. There have been other good things. The Ricky Council's coming and give you some hope. I thought DeAndre Melton, who I did not like in his role last year. If we can, do you remember him? He used to be on the team.
Yeah, we were wondering what the hell's going on with him. That was a big question so far.
I mean, I thought he played really well, and you were just talking about, who should it be paired with Maxey, and the bottom line is a rotation, and whether it's Hield starting, because I actually I mean, you could make cases for Hield both ways, but a nice rotation where Melton was playing too big a role with the Sixers last year and this year. If he's playing a 20, 25-minute role and you've got a great rotation of those three guys together, that being Hield and Maxey, that could be a really formidable guard rotation. So there's a lot of good signs and a lot of reasons to be optimistic, but it all hinges on Joel Embiid coming back.
Well, you're the right man for that question. We've gotten a lot of it, right? A lot of people. That's the number one thing on their mind. Gerald, you're a thing. He's like Red. He's if you need something, Red from Shawshank Redemption. Excuse me. If you need something, this is the guy to reach out to. So I'm curious.
You know what that is? I like it.
That's good, right? So I'm curious, where are we at now with Joel? What's the last thing you heard? Is there anything new? The last thing I just heard Pat Bev said he went to visit him, and I didn't see that video. He released it on the 14th from his latest podcast. I know Pat Bev kind of taking on a new light these days. He's now with the Milwaukee Bucks. Let him go. Shout out Rowan, though. Subscribe to the pod. All I know is this, we have that timeline in our minds. And in my mind, it's got to work out to the point that, like, I don't think the Sixers will rush him back. I don't think that, like, if there's a chance he comes back like 2 games before the playoffs start, I just don't think they're going to say, all right, let's get him back in there. They know the history with the big man. He's got to get acclimated, got to get conditioned. And that's probably going to upset a lot of Sixers fans. Believe me, it makes me, sick to my stomach. I want the big man out there, but he is the cornerstone of this franchise, best player in the game when healthy. They're not going to do anything like that. That's just the way this franchise operates. So I'm hoping that we're going to get a sliver of good news here or maybe sometime soon. What's the last thing you heard about Joel Embiid, Gerald?
It's really funny. The last thing I heard was there was a police envoy taking him to the airport today so he could get on a plane to go to Indianapolis to at least be at the All-Star game that he was voted to. That's all.
Okay.
Wow.
That's
good news.
That's
good news.
He's moving.
He's moving. Yeah, he's alive. He's alive. Yes. All right.
I did not witness that, so I'm relying on somebody, but it's somebody fairly reliable. Look, I think you're right, Sean. Now, I know Sean Barnard and I kind of had a disagreement about this as to whether or not Joel was hurt before he got really hurt. And the fact is, he's been questionable for a while with this knee. Was he playing hurt? And is it the kind of thing that is just a chronic thing that he's got to play with, or was it getting worse and he kept playing? My personal belief is neither Nick Nurse, the organization, the trainers, or Joel Embiid himself would put him out there if they didn't think he was capable of playing. But by the same token, he looked so bad in that last game, and then, of course, body falls on him, and now we have surgery, and he's missing months. So it's hard to say. But I agree, Sean, you can't in any way rush this. He is our current and our future, and if he's not healthy or they do anything to risk his health going forward, then it'll be tragic. So I don't think you can rush it. But by the same token, their only shot to win is with him on the court. So it is a little bit of a catch-22. And I haven't heard his status. And they don't want to rush that because he had the procedure and they want him to heal before even putting timetables on things. Now, the good part is we're in mid-February. The bad part is we're in mid-February. And he's got a short time period. He literally has 2 months still to heal.
Yep.
And that hopefully is enough. And it's asking a lot to both heal and then get back there and play the way you were. But this guy's amazed me before. And I think the timetable as far as that length of time for the injury is good enough. That length of time for getting back in basketball shape and being the level that they need him to go through the playoffs, not so sure. But I do think we see him before playoff basketball.
Okay, interesting. And I kind of, to piggyback off that, Gerald, so a lot of, I think the outlook for Joel and the Sixers being purposely vague about a lot of this, I think some of it has just as much to do with where the team is at based on where Joel is in his recovery process. So say things do bottom out and this team struggles a bit, can't keep above water and slip down the standings. Do you think there's still a world where Joel Embiid steps back onto the floor, or do you think that's something that's going to be a huge part of the equation in the decision?
Sean, I think that is a huge part of the equation. I heard you earlier this week say, that you think they hang on to the 5 seed or the 6 seed, and I'm not so sure. They have a tough schedule going forward, and as they are currently constituted, as you come down the home stretch with a tough schedule, I don't think this is a 500 basketball team. So as the teams behind them are fighting to get higher in the standings, that be the Indianas, Orlando's, I'm not sure they can hold them off because they're going to have to win a bunch of games. They're capable of winning games every time they step on the floor, and they've proven that. They've had some great wins. The win at Cleveland was terrific. But by the same token, I don't see this as a 500 basketball team. So I am really concerned that in all likelihood, they're somewhere around 7-8. And at 7 and 8, that becomes a very, very tough decision. So, look, we're all speculating right now, and that's the biggest problem. And they're not giving us any information to go off of. And I don't have any inside knowledge, or I kind of work it in there a little bit subtly, but I don't, because nobody really knows right now. They're really waiting, giving it time. He just had the procedure not that long ago, and they'll just wait and heal and see how it heals. But you can't risk his long-term health for a short term if there's not a real good shot of winning this year.
You know, I just heard you say that they're not a 500 team when it comes to playing without Joel, and I'm actually in full agreement of that. You know, it's tough. There's deficiencies on this team, and I think part of it is Joel is so great that he masks a lot of those when he is on the floor. But my question to you is the team just not that good without Joel? Has this
Damn, RV cutting to the core? No, I love it. I love it.
Look, he's
it's
honest.
Good question.
Yeah.
It's a good question.
Has this organization done enough to build the other pieces, the complementary guys, the ancillary pieces? Or is there like maybe one or two guys that you're looking for in Joel's absence to step up and go the extra mile and go take over and kind of really help this team get afloat?
That question is so good. And I could talk with you for hours about it.
RB,
really
man. RB's polished. I didn't think he was as polished. Good grief. I'm calling out on Tuesday. No show on.
I watched every minute of Out the Mud, by the way.
Baby.
Thank you, man.
He's a neighbor. He's a neighbor of Paul Reed.
Shout out to Alex Persichetti and Paul Reed. Shout out to them. And,
shout out to them,
nice
man.
Job with that. But anyway, it's such a great question. I got to preface this by saying it, and hopefully he's listening. Daryl Morey is a fraud.
Oh, wow. There it is.
Wow.
There it is.
Wow.
I was waiting for somebody.
Yeah, that was the first one tonight. We've seen it a lot in the timeline, though. You're right.
And I think he sucks. And so when you look at the roster, you have this. And I know there's guys who think this all-time player, but certainly generational and special player in Joel Embiid, a player that without which the Sixers might not even be relevant. You know, we're not probably far from being probably better than Detroit Pistons, but they're not a real great team without him. But that's okay, because you take away the superstar on any team and they suffer.
Correct.
Yeah. But we are more dependent on him than any team. And I have felt they have missed opportunities. And Sean Barnard's made the comment, and total respect for my young friend and his superior knowledge, that the Sixers got the best player trading deadline. And I actually agree with him on trade day. But
Sure.
I think the Knicks in getting OG and
the Pacers
Siakam moving and you know, the argument is Bogdanovich, but I'll take heel for the Sixers going forward over that. But did the Sixers do enough to help themselves, or help themselves more than their teams that they're battling with, even a Rozier going to the Heat? And I don't think they did. And not only so, listen, I love the heel move, loved it. I loved the kid in college. I wanted them to get him all along, so I'm thrilled that he's here and he's better than we all thought he was going to be so far. But the problem is, there are other weird things that Morey did trade deadline. Why do you trade Springer to the Boston Celtics? Why?
Tell me about it.
Okay. And why do you trade Pat Beverly? Although, you know, give the Bucks anything they want, Doc will screw it up.
Yeah.
Does he get fired before he coaches in the All-Star game? Right?
Adrian Griffin for Coach of the Year.
Oh, wow. I like that.
But then you see the story that they thought they had a deal for Drummond, but it was going to cost them 3 second-round picks. Well, are you then really committed this year? Sean, I'm coming back to something you said earlier this week where Sean Brace asked you to grade, you know, like Paul Reed, and you gave him like a B- for his 18-12 rebound game the other night against Miami. And I'm like, wow, boy, Sean's a tough grader. And the reason I say that is I'll give Paul's been a bright enough spot this year, and I really, really like the young man, so it's hard for me to be completely objective. But in his role as a backup center to Joel Embiid, he's very good. He knows when he's coming. He's coming at the start of the second quarter. He's coming at the start of the fourth quarter. He's playing no more than 12 minutes, and he can play that fine. he cannot play starting 5 minutes in this league. He just can't. Not at a level for a top-notch team. So when he goes out there and gets 18 and 12 against the Miami Heat, I actually think he's having a pretty good game. But it's nice to see the expectations have risen. But to really compete, Drummond would have been a great piece for this team to fill in the minutes while Joel's gone, and then to be a great backup too in the playoffs, and maybe even play some with them. And to not want to give up 3 second-round picks, to make a trade where you're giving Springer to the Celtics, you're giving Beverly to the Bucks. I'm saying, is this guy really all in for this year? Is he towing to show what he's doing? And then also to call him out as the complete fraud he is, and Woj right with him. We've been able to tell, because Sean Grace, you know that I always look to the anatomy of a rumor, and we can tell that Woj is Maury's shill out there all the time. Then you get the leak. He inquired about LeBron, and he inquired about Durant, and he inquired about Booker. Oh, so he wasn't just sitting there dealing with the Daniel houses. He was actually trying to get. I mean, come on, that's such a fraud, and it just echoes. So when you say about the pieces surrounding this team, I have felt our roster has players, has bodies, has NBA players, but not. When you look at the roster of the Boston Celtics are the extreme, but look at that roster versus the Sixers roster. Because I'll take Maxey as my number 2, but your 3 and 4 have to be way better than what the Sixers are, because they're not close in comparison to the real championship teams.
Yep.
Gerald Colton, waxing poetic. Clark Fernandez check in. If we get Drummond, it's going to be a hack of Drummond during the Embiidless minutes. Are we agreeing with that with Clark? Great name, Clark.
I think you take it though.
Yeah,
you
have
take
to.
it in stride.
Yeah, because it's about depth at this point, right?
Sure.
We know what their deficiencies are, as you pointed out. Great job on that, RB.
Also makes no sense to me the Bulls' lack of motivation to get a deal done.
Like questioning what the hell the Bulls have been doing for the last 2 years now.
Yeah.
I know I've been vocal with you, and I think we've been somewhat agreement over the last year. It's like, what is your path?
They've made no player trades since 2021. Like, how do you get better? How do you improve? And this is a team very much stuck in that basketball purgatory of not being good enough to compete, not being bad enough to get a true asset to get better, and they're just locked in. So it doesn't make any sense to me, the lack of motivation on the Bulls' part.
Sean, you're so right. And all those guys that they had that talented nucleus. They're all aging. Levine's value has gone down. DeRozan's has gone down. And they have not taken advantage of it whatsoever. I could not agree with you more.
Gerald, one more from me, and okay. I'm just curious where you stand right now on as far as this team and kind of in this middle area right now. And then, you could speak a lot about the fan perspective. You've been down at the ballpark, the ball yards, the arenas for years now. And my point was, hey, like, this is the time they need us more than ever. And look, at no fault, I'm not pointing fingers at anybody. To each their own. We came into this season with kind of a blasé feel. Even though there was a lot of new, but here we are now, and no Joel Embiid, and clearly this team is struggling. And look, the Miami Heat game, my timeline was empty. Maybe it's the people I follow, maybe it's what I was looking, but not a lot of fanfare at this point in time. What is something that could catch the average Sixer fan and bring them down to the Wells Fargo Center? I'm sure they're going to still sell out, but as I said, like, now is the time this needs us, or do we fall into that fair weather, that front runner fan category that Jimmy Rollins famously said all those years ago?
I think it's a little bit in between, Sean. I don't think it's front runners, but I think the Sixers fans' hearts have been broken for so long.
True.
They've been teased so much, and they have been there supporting. I mean, look, I railed against the process from the start. I felt they tempted the fate of basketball gods that would never win, and nothing's ever happened to convince me otherwise. Still, I still want to be wrong by that. But this is an organization who said, listen, we're going to charge you full price, but we're going to intentionally lose and put the worst product out there for 4 years. And we're going to tell you we're trying. And then when we get these pieces, we're going to sit them for a few years. And then we're going to add all these things to a bad organization. We're going to go through a bunch of GMs who are not committed to Philadelphia. We're going to have one of our owners, Michael Rubin, become best friends with James Harden and bring in his personal GM and Daryl Morey. And then Michael's going to have to sell his share, and he's still going to hang out with James Harden. I mean, there's been, while we're stuck with Morey, I mean, there have been so many things they've done to us as fans that they don't really deserve us. So I don't want to look at us as front runners. They owe us. They owe us more of a commitment. And because through this whole thing, through the process, terrible 4 years, through them doubling the prices immediately after it, we have been there and supported them. and they haven't taken us even to the second or past the second round yet. So I don't put it on the fans. And we, it's like, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Or fool me 100 times, shame, shame, shame on me. And that's what I feel like as a Sixers fan. So what's it take? We need to see a healthy Joel Embiid step back on that court and give us some hope for the year. Otherwise, we'll be out in the first round probably. And then at that point, they'll say, well, if Joel was healthy or whatever, and another year will have gone by, and now he'll be 30-year-old Joel Embiid, having played with all these injuries, and that window will be closing even further than it already is.
Ladies and gentlemen, I mean, roaring round of applause, standing ovation, and yes, nice answer, Gerald. Nice answer. Clearly, what not was on my mind. That's you put things in proper perspective there. That's the way I should be looking at it. And of course, maybe I need some new follows out there on the timeline. Gerald Colton.
Hey, but they're our team. They're our team. And
they are our team.
For better or worse. And Joel Embiid is this incredible, incredible player. I'd hate to see his career go by without getting further than we already have.
Well, he's going to advance, but it's probably going to be in a Lakers uniform. Let's just be honest. I kid.
Oh, I won't watch. Oh, no, please no. Listen, I'd take that over a Knicks uniform. Oh,
yeah, no, you're right. Well, that was rumors. Who knows? Gerald, you are the man. Thank you for coming on here on a Friday night. We got to have you when we start talking Sixers. So I'm glad we were able to make this happen. Once again, RB with us. He's going to be doing a lot more. A big second half in front of us, man. We're excited. As always, Gerald, can't thank you enough.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me. Have a great night, guys.
My man, there he is. Once again, Gerald Colton. Just to let you know, I believe Habib 215 coming in. He says, how is Embiid doing with recovery? Gerald just said the latest he heard, Joel Embiid's on his way to the All-Star game.
See if he's got a brace on, see what he's looking like there.
A little bit of I can't say I'm surprised, right? But it makes me feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where you guys at? RB, where are you at with that news?
I'm hoping and praying. That's all I can do at this point.
That's it, man.
The one thing I know about, and not to say Gerald's not a credible source, but one thing I've learned over the years from Sixer injuries is you can't believe anything.
Yeah.
Day to day, rest of the season, gone. I can't trust anything. I have trust issues because of the Sixers.
What did I say? When Joel Embiid's healthy, he's hurt. When he's hurt, he's healthy. Yeah, that's exactly right, RB. Look, man, we're battle tested.
Dude, listen,
we've been doing this too damn long, man.
Yeah, that's why I really appreciated that rant. He just let it all off the chest. And, even from the way this Embiid thing was reported, they said on Saturday, we'll know Sunday.
Yeah.
They said on Sunday, we'll know when they go in and cut his knee.
Yeah.
They went in and cut his knee. They said, we'll know in 4 weeks. I hate it, man.
Yeah.
Give us the scoop.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Great stuff. Great comments coming in. Sean Barnard, your takeaway from Gerald Colton's comments there?
Yeah, I totally agree with the take from RB there about that we have no clue, and it is frustrating. And I think it would make everyone look better if there was the more transparency or a little bit of trust there. Even if they went as far as to say, like, hey, we're not 100% sure yet. We're going to go into surgery. We're not sure the extent of what the recovery timeline will look like after that. That's fine. Just say that. Like, be open about that. And there is a lack of trust there. I'm still more optimistic than most about Joel Embiid, and my biggest reasoning for that is, number one, I don't think we really ever see this guy fully healthy, that I think he's constantly battling through some sort of knee ailment or knee injury or whatever that moving injury on his body is. I think it's extremely rare that he's at remotely close to 100% and he still finds a way to play through it. And the other part of that is the best potential route to getting that 100% Joel Embiid in the playoffs could very well him being hurt at that specific point in the season. That if all goes according to plan, he recovers in, say, 6 to 8 weeks, comes back for a 2-week ramp up, and then it's playoff time. That could work out perfectly for this team. Yes, that's the entire best case situation, but it's still one that's on the table.
I want to respond to that, too, by saying I think we've realized that Joel's greatness actually could be a downfall, and it's nothing against Joel, but think about it. At that point, how do you build this team? Do you bring in another guy that can give you 25 a night? Is that the answer? Because I don't think there's any getting better than what we saw from Joel Embiid this year.
Not this year.
He elevated to that level, and here we are at the All-Star break wondering if he's going to play again.
I think the only thing he can improve on is 3 points, 3-pointers, right?
And he's improved on that.
I'll take 37%.
He's improved on that.
Is he shot 37% this year? That's just insane, dude.
So, like, do we get to the point where we say, man, maybe it's time to take a step back? Maybe it's time to put more burden on Tyrese and get another guy in here and, maybe make Joel into a 20, 10, and 10 guy
Yep.
or something like that to try to take some of that burden off.
To the credit of Daryl, I think he was a little harsh on Daryl, right? I give Daryl a
Can't
little.
get much harsher than that.
Yeah,
on
that
Daryl.
was pretty strong. He is correct on the leaking and all that, and Daryl does play politics as far as the timeline is concerned and all that, and he's a little too active for my liking, but still, I don't care. Thought he did a great job. He's got a lot of pluses, right? Like the Horford. I never thought they were getting out of that contract. Maybe they shouldn't have. I don't know. He sucked with us, but he's great with Boston. Who knows? But like, he's got a lot of pluses. Is he perfect? No, but I look at Daryl Morey. He got Harden in here. He rolled the dice there. Harden had his moments in that game, in that series against Boston, disappeared for the other 4. It is what it is. We'll find out if he's still the James Harden experience, as you coined, with the Clippers coming up here in April. But the Ben Simmons move, we can all be revisionist history. It would have been great with Tyrese Halliburton, but he did what he had to do there, made that happen. So there's a lot of pluses with Daryl Morey. So I want to be fair about that. And I'm highly critical of him.
And also working out of past mistakes, the way that he's dealt with a lot of this. That this current roster, this offseason, when there is all this cap space, this is the first chance of it's Daryl to build the team as he sees
But
fit.
the fortunate thing is who we getting.
Sure.
Yes.
Is there any chance Trae Young comes to Philly? Is that bad? No. Do you guys care? Like,
I don't know.
I don't see it.
Yeah,
I don't see it.
because he's got the whole. He can push where he wants to go. I mean, he's a superstar, right? Or he's a star, right?
Star, yeah, but he'll be in it. I think he finds his way to Los Angeles.
But the thing about the NBA is you never know. Just because we got the list of free agents, that's not who's going to be available come summertime. So
you know what it comes down to, man. And I've had this conversation recently a bunch of times. You just got to draft better. I mean, I put it on Twitter last week or X. I said there's only 3 guys on this roster that were drafted by the Sixers. And funny enough, they're the only 3 guys that are scheduled to be under contract. Maybe one of them won't even be if the Sixers don't make it past the first round. You had that many draft picks lined up from the process days and going through, and 3 first-rounders this year and 2 firsts and 2 seconds. You're left with nothing. That has to be where you build. These good teams draft well.
Yeah.
And until you get past that, and I actually am not as mad at Daryl Morey as other people, but you have to draft well. That's what it comes down to.
Could you give me who else drafts well? Who else should we be aiming at to be more like? Does Golden State draft well? They've only had so many picks in the last couple of years.
Well, they still got the Brandon Pochevskis, the Jonathan Kumingas, this next generation of guys coming up. They've missed. They've had their James Wiseman situations and opportunities which they haven't struck on as well. The Miami Heat are another team that finds something out of nobody. Jaime Jaquez this year been a top 5 rookie and is a guy that slipped way farther than he can. So the Heat are another team that I think add talent well. A lot of teams that work the margin.
Boston.
Yeah, Boston. Even the Grizzlies, the way that they've made their homegrown group is really impressive. So a lot of teams, it's not the easiest. The draft is not just a clear equation on who the best players are, but got to just be better than the Sixers have been.
No, you're right about that, RB. And it's one thing where I would say it's like it's the NBA and it's really tough to hit, right? But look, sometimes you need a little luck, and whether or not it had something to do with no tournament that Tyrese Maxey played in, bottom line is we got a little lucky there. And that's what we need at this point in time. Couldn't agree with you more as far as drafting better. Boys, this has been awesome. 90 minutes, nothing but Sixers on a Friday night. I can't thank you enough, but we're not ending just yet because when we do some live stuff, we often do a thing called Slap That Bag. But since I don't have the bag in front of me, RB, what we're going to do is a little rapid fire. All right. I got 10 questions for the boys here.
All right.
Sean Barnard, you can go first.
All right.
Question number 1, rapid fire right here. Sixers Roundtable on a Friday. One play from this season that you immediately ran to Twitter and tweeted about.
One play, probably that Maxey step back within that 50-point game, that snatch, step back and hit that 3-pointer specifically. It's in his bag pretty regularly, but in that moment, to me, that was one of them. That was a next step play.
RB?
The other night, Kelly Oubre had maybe the best block I've ever seen.
Okay.
He swatted into next year.
Nice. Kelly Oubre's first mention right now. 90 minutes in. Here we
Let's
go.
go.
All right, RB, back to you. Daryl Morey in one word.
Chaotic.
Ooh,
unique.
I like that. Nice work by both of you on that one. Question number 3, in honor of JJ Redick getting the call up. Sean Barnard, your favorite NBA announcer?
Mike Breen, for sure. Give me the Mike Breen. And by the way, I think that Doc Rivers will be available come finals time, so I don't think they had to rush that up.
Nice. RB, your favorite NBA announcer?
Ooh, I got to go Mike Breen as well. He's iconic, man.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just a voice you know.
Yeah. No, I can't wait to see. JJ was incredible. I liked him and RJ. And you know, JJ's earned it, and he's very smart and opinionated. So I'm looking forward to having him out there. Shout out Doris and Mike Breen on that one. All right, question number 4. Back over to you, RB. Favorite Sixer of all time?
I'll go with the easy one. AI.
AI.
Allen Iverson.
Yeah, that's pretty much where I am as well. I could have said no AI, no JoJo. And if I did say that to you, what do you say, Sean Bernard?
If I did no AI, no JoJo, Joel would have been my answer here. Beyond that, I'm trying to get creative with it. It might just be Maxey. It might have to be Maxey.
No wrong there.
He's a guy that gives me a joy watching him play basketball that very few have. So the freedom that he plays with, give me Tyrese Maxey.
That's a good answer. I like that. Yeah, big smile on his face. That dude is always smiling. All right, back to you, Sean Bernard. Wells Fargo moment you were there for, your favorite one.
The 70-point game.
I knew it was going to come. I knew it was gonna, RB,
Yeah.
is it the same for you?
Yeah, it has to be.
True
Yeah,
story.
absolutely.
I hit up Sean Bernard the night before. It was a Monday night game.
Yep.
I hit him up on Sunday night. I said, dude, you want to go to the game? I'm dying. Let's go see Wemby. And he's like, I'm already going with RB. And Joel breaks the record, the greatest performance in a 76er uniform.
I owe you, man. I owe you.
My man. Awesome. All right, back over to you, RB. Big second half for who?
Buddy Hield.
Buddy Hield.
Love
Good
it.
answer. Good answer, Sean Bernard.
I'll be optimistic and go Tobias Harris here. This is more of a need than a belief here, but it's got to be Tobias time. That, for all the complaining about the role change for Mr. Assassin Scorer, let's go see it.
All right. Back to you, Bernard. Your favorite sports video game?
2K. It straight up is
Yeah.
2K. I used to be real good at 2K, but
Yeah.
I've fallen off getting active on the sticks. But yeah, 2K for me is the way to
RB,
go.
you a gamer?
I'm a big 2K guy, but
Okay.
since you already picked it, I'll go with Madden.
Nice. Yeah,
Madden.
classic. And shout out to EA Sports. I believe EA Sports bringing out the new college.
Yeah.
We're already working
I'm
behind
excited for that.
Yeah, we're working behind the scenes to get a little something going on as far as a tournament. All right, final question, RB, excuse me, to you. Your favorite Sixer NBA follow. Doesn't have to be specific to Sixers. 76ers/NBA follow on the timeline is who?
Go with my guy, man. Out the mud.
Out the
Paul.
mud.
B-ball Paul.
Boop, boop,
Because-
boop, boop.
Never know what to expect, man.
Yeah.
Sean Bernard, who you plugging?
I'll throw it to Trill Bro, dude. For,
Nice.
I'll give him the love here.
Yeah.
Awesome Twitter follow. And
Yeah.
some of the memes, it's a wide range of
Slop.
what you're getting. Yeah, slop
You
season. all
slop
about it.
season,
Yeah.
man. Classic. Hey, right here, my 2 favorite follows. Easy. Once again, Sean Bernard, Sean_Bernard1. That's the number 1. RB Philly take.
Yes, sir.
Oh, I pulled that out of my
Yes,
ass.
sir.
I pulled that out of my
This
ass.
guy- I like this guy, man.
Nice.
I like this guy.
Hey, I can't thank you boys enough, man. This was easy. This was fun. And shout out to Devon Givens. Shout out to Gerald Colton. Shout out to AB for rolling through. And shout out to all of you for checking in this evening. This was a ton of fun. Final thoughts. Wrap it up. 30 seconds. Anything you want to get off your chest, RB?
Yeah. With everything we've talked about, as frustrated as we are, as confused and hopeful that we are, I will say, man, Philly teams perform better when they are the underdog.
Yeah.
Let's go into this playoffs with nothing to prove. Full deck. Let's just go in, playing with house money. We've seen Nick Nurse do it before. I believe that he can outsmart any of these coaches, and that is what I'll ride my money with. Even if Joel's in or out, let's have fun, man. Let's find a way.
As Meek just said, amen on that one. I like that. I'm with you, Nick Nurse. I'm a believer in him. Sean Bernard, 30 seconds.
Yeah, send some prayers to Joel Embiid's
Damn
knee.
right.
That is what this all rides on to me. That if he can return fully healthy, I do believe this is the most well-rounded or Joel Embiid specific squad that he has had. So if that can just come together, if we can get Joel playing remotely close to the way he played to start the season, this team's got a fighting chance. So prayers up for the recovery to the big fella.
All right, 30 seconds for me. It's real easy. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Fox Sports The Gambler. Of course, if you're following us and tuning in, please subscribe to RB's channel. We are linked up together here, so nice and easy on that one. Live Monday through Friday, 3 to 6 p.m. Sean Bernard does an unbelievable job. We're going to be getting RB involved more, especially throughout the course of the second half. And folks, Maxey on the mic. It's an iHeartRadio podcast. Let's support the man. Tomorrow night, Skills Challenge.
Yep.
And then, of course, on Sunday, let's go. That's going to be
All-star
pretty
game.
cool to see him out there.
Oh yeah.
Awesome. For RB, for Sean Barnard, I am Sean Brace. Thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in. We'll be back at it on Monday. You can catch the replay if you missed it. We'll have it podcasted at foxphlgambler.com. Everybody, enjoy Friday night. Stay dry. And if you don't have to leave the house, don't, because it's supposed to snow. Peace.